per month over 12 months because he now has to look after the ANPR as well as 2 SITs. And so I think it's reasonable that he should request additional funds for that. But I just need to get your approval for that as part of the statutory payments process. So if I could have a resolution for that.
So we're looking for a proposal to accept the statutory, or to make the statutory payments for this month based on the new figures as outlined.
Yes.
Yeah. Andy?
Can I ask a question? Net effect?
Well, in the case of Stuart Nichols, it's about £700 in total over the whole year. In fact, it's not even that, is it? It's 600. 600.
So it's marginal.
It's not, well, it is quite a lot actually. It sounds like a marginal figure, but it is quite a lot of money, but it's quite to do with a lot of extra work, that's the point. And that's the key to it, really. I mean, Stuart is doing work now for most of the parish councils around here, certainly Lewisham, East Brent, East Huntsville. He's doing work for all of them now, so he's now becoming something of an expert in this kind of activity. And in fact, a lot of it is downloading the data, of course. It's not just about him moving the SIDS around, he has to actually download the data as well, which must take a fair bit of time.
And charge batteries.
Yeah, charge batteries. So, you know,
in effect, the new payments are the ones that you circulated to members today?
That's right,
yes.
Yes.
Andy?
Propose.
Okay, is that all those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now the variable payments, there are 4 payments this month. There's the quarterly office expenditure and allowances, period January to March. There's the ICO subscription for 2024, the CPRE subscription for 24-25, and Jason Mayo did some additional work in South Brent Close, on the verge actually, which is now added to the contract for next year, but was done as a one-off job previously, last month I think. So I need your approval for those 4 payments.
So in terms of the South Brent Close stuff, that's basically the hedge that runs along Station Road,
Yeah.
between that and South Brent Close,
Yeah.
which was cut back. Can you just, CPRE is Campaign for Protection of Rural England.
Rural England, there's an annual payment, 36. We pay the minimum actually, we could pay more if we wanted to. We always pay the minimum, £36.
They have in the past on occasions given us advice in terms of some controversial planning applications, which was how we got involved with them, so they have, and that goes back a little while, but they do give information. And the ICO is the Information
Commission office. Now we don't have a choice. It's one of those very curious things. We get a subscription and an invite to pay, but if we don't, we get summoned.
Yeah.
So it's sort of an invite, but it's actually not an invite. It's an obligation. So we must pay that to comply fully with data protection for the council.
And they're all budgeted.
Yeah.
And they're all budgeted. Yes. I will just point out that the officer's expenses have gone up, and the reason why the officer's expenses have gone up is because of more journeys. It's just as simple as that. In fact, our printing costs have gone down, our postage costs have gone down. What has gone up is the mileage cost, because we've had lots more meetings and things going on. So, you know, that's the reason for it. There's a simple explanation, and if anybody wishes to see, I have actually got a complete breakdown of each of the dates when these meetings took place. So, you know.
Okay. Can I have a proposal? Amanda, proposing that we pay those 4?
Yeah.
All those in favour of those paid, please show. Again, it's unanimous.
So we're on to statutory payments. Pre-circulated. Other financial matters. This is an important time of the year from the point of view of the council being fully compliant, because of course 31st of March is the end of our financial year. And I always take all the documents for the financial year ready for the internal auditor and place them in what I call a red book, which has got all the statements for the year. It's got the cash books, it's got all the information, reconciliations, budgets, etc. And contained within that, of course, is the parish council accounts, which no doubt you've had a chance to absorb and have a look at. 23-24. Bearing in mind the financial year only ended on Sunday, and we've managed to, because I did a lot of work beforehand, managed to get the accounts out so we can get them to the internal auditor tomorrow, and off to the external auditor next week. So I just need your approval that you're happy with them, and there's nothing within those accounts that you'll want to ask any questions of. We don't incidentally have to provide a set of annual accounts in this way, because the external audit papers are deemed to be sufficient for compliance purposes. But I have always produced statements for the council simply because I believe it's a document that's much easier for members of the public to read if they ask to see our accounts. That is not very user-friendly, frankly. And so I've always produced what I call a proper set of accounts, which reflect everything that's on the external audit. And it also tells you where our banking is at the moment, where our reserves are, and so on. So,
and again, just to confirm, when you circulated to members the Brent Knoll financial statements, which was the breakdown of all those, the normal things that we do in our precepting,
yes.
The balance of accounts, we will send copies of the bank accounts and printouts showing that they matched with what Owen had calculated, and there was a notes to the accounts as well that was circulated to help members understand the documents that have been sent out. Any questions, comments, or can we have a... So we would need to take... So that would relate to the end of year financial statement.
So we just need a resolution to approve that.
So that's the first item, which is the end of year financial statement. Is there a proposal that we are happy to approve that? Andy, thank you. Seconded, Malcolm. All those in favour, please show. That is unanimous.
Okay.
Then we have the AGAR.
The AGAR, which is the Annual Governance and Accountability Return. This is the piece that goes to the internal auditor, first of all, for the internal auditor, not just... The internal auditor is actually not there to check our figures. He's there to check to make sure we have the right systems in place. I think sometimes people think that the internal auditor is going through every single detail of the figures. He's not. He's simply looking to see that we had good systems in place during the year that complied, and he will have to sign a document to say that he's happy with what he sees. But before that, Parish Council also have to accept the annual governance statement, and the annual governance statement has to be signed by both Chairman and myself with a minute reference. And the minute reference has to be different on the annual governance statement to the accounts statement. They have to be separate minutes. So the first thing is the annual governance statement. Really, it's no different from any previous years. Everything on this statement is the same as in previous years. So they've decided to keep it as is for this year. And it just deals with things like, for example, we took appropriate action on matters raised in reports, internal, external audit. If the external auditor raised anything, we acted upon it. If the internal auditor raised anything, we acted upon it. That we have internal controls procedures, we have risk assessments in place, all of those were approved last month, if you remember rightly. And it just deals with all that background stuff that has to be in place for us to be a fully compliant council. So it's about for you guys, really. Would you happy to, for the Chairman and myself, to sign that one to start with, the annual government statement?
Lady.
Yeah, so I agree, get it signed.
Okay. Is that seconded? Thank you, Amanda. All those in favour that we sign the annual governance statements?
Unanimous.
I don't think there was. So any abstentions? Okay.
Okay. All right. You need to sign it.
Yeah.
And I'll do the same.
Okay.
I won't put a minute in at this stage, so I don't know what a minute's going to do at the moment. So the minute reference will go on there. The second one takes the figures from the accounts and puts them in a sort of hieroglyphic form for the external auditors to look at. And these figures have to be 100% accurate. If they're not accurate, they throw them back at us. And I've checked them, checked them 3 times, so I know they're correct. Richard Young, our internal auditor, will also check them to make sure that they sort of tally. And that's the next part of the signature.
So in effect, it's not a full set of accounts, it's basically a series of
A series of numbers. They take last year's figures, they move those across, and for example, number 7, you know, they have to marry up over 2 years. And of course, this is not the only thing that goes to the external auditor. We have to have a bank reconciliation sheet. We have to explain any variances, and we have one big variance this year, a precept, which I've had to give them a fulsome explanation, an A4 page of why we justified having the increased precept this year. Of course, it was very easy because it was for the shop payments regime, which we never actually used, but is now back in the reserves. So that was a very easy one to answer, but I still had to answer it. You know, so.
And again, it's worth remembering that what we're filling in now is for the financial year that has just finished, not the financial year we've just entered.
Yeah. So basically,
So we're looking for
Looking for a resolution.
We do.
resolution and a vote.
Colin.
Propose.
So Colin's proposed that we sign the document. That's seconded, and all those in favour that we sign it, please show. That is unanimous.
Sign there.
Yes,
One down the bottom there. And I will sign one. Okay, the minute reference will be placed in that before it goes to the internal audit.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing we have to do, of course, is exercise public rights. This notification tells the external auditor that we will be placing on the notice boards in June an invite for anybody who wishes to see the accounts can do so. And all they have to do is write to me, email me, and they will receive a copy of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that financial matters?
Well, everything, yeah.
Okay.
That's everything there.
So that brings us to item 8, which is asked for consideration. A is the shop toilet build update. So the first item there was an update on where we are with the PWLB, the Public Works Loans Board, loan application.
Right. The Public Works Loans Board, we have four loan applications in. We had to do 4 separate loans post-dated. They wouldn't allow us to do one and then just come in with the next one. We had to do 4. So we've done 4 applications, one which will be due on the 15th of April, one on the 15th of May, one on the 15th of July, and one on the 15th of September. So by the time we get to the end of September, we will have drawn down the 160,000, which is the amount that we originally applied for. But each one of those has to be applied for. Although we're guaranteed it, we're told that we will get it, we have to formally apply for it. And as I say, that will start on the 15th of April, and we will get £40,000, our first tranche now, at whatever rate PWLB are at the time. At the moment, I think it's 5.21. By the time we get to the 15th of April, of course, it could be different. So maybe a bit higher, maybe a bit lower. Who knows?
Hopefully.
Hopefully lower, yeah. So that's the one.
Melina.
Will the £26,000 shop money be with the solicitors before then?
Should be.
Yes, I mean basically the shop have been very accommodating on this, and in fact I've had discussions with 1 or 2 of them, and yes, at whatever point we feel is the most relevant point, they will actually ask for an invoice from us. We will then invoice them for that amount of funds. They will come across to our accounts. And that will probably coincide with the contract exchange. So once we've done the JCT contract and the contract between ourselves and the shop, at that point they will have an invoice for the funds to come down to the council.
But that will be before the loan is taken.
It depends when the contracts are signed. We don't know when that is at the moment, but hopefully it'll be around about the same time, with a bit of luck. I can't be more certain than that, because I just don't know exactly when the contract's going to be exchanged.
I can see your concern.
Yeah.
I can see your concern. I think the most important part is that before we commit to expenditure rather than the loan, I think it has to be in before the contract.
But as soon as we take that loan, we've committed to expenditure because we've got to have that for 12 months paying interest on it. So if we take 40,000 on the 15th of April and for whatever reason nothing goes ahead, we're then paying what did you say it was?
5.21
5.21 at the moment, you said.
Yeah.
Interest on that 40,000.
£2,100.
I think that's certainly something we will look to take
It's
forward
worth
with
pushing.
discussion with the shop
Yeah,
as
'cause,
well.
I mean, the meeting I wasn't here for, you were very vocal on
Yeah, no, I
having
haven't,
that secured.
I hadn't concerned that I was in focus on the contracts. I think it is a valid point.
Yeah.
If we have that conversation with the shop, there'll be a conversation.
I can't control the timing on the contracts. I've simply gone and done what the council asked me to do.
Yes.
Well, I
Which
think
is
what
draw
Dave
down
is
the line.
asking, then if we can control the drawdown, then we can use that as a deadline and drop dead, which we can control.
Yeah.
Okay, no, we can certainly have that conversation. I don't know, John, did you have your hand up? No. No, okay. Anyone else? Yeah, I need.
Yeah, can I just clarify then that until that money, the shop's £26,000, until that money is secured, we will not draw down on the loan?
No, I can't give you that
No,
assurance.
so we have had to put in notification to the Public Works Loans Board of the dates that will be drawn down. So there will be money coming down on the 15th of April. So
Irrespective of
I think what we
contracts.
will do is we will endeavour to have the conversation with the shop to make sure that we look to put the invoice into them before the 15th of April for the payment of the 26th. Okay. Okay.
I'm sure the shops that do, I should imagine they want some reasonable notice before that happens anyway. I mean, they're not just going to produce it out of thin air, are they?
Yes.
The shop have been very supportive of this. They recommended our bank account, so I don't think they'll have a problem with this.
Colin.
Can I ask, can we just break the meeting and say,
Yeah.
Caroline, how much notice would you require to draw those funds?
I'm going to be on holiday from the 9th to the 23rd of April, but you give me a day's notice and I can pay the bill.
Okay. We'll get that
Thank you,
sorted.
Caroline.
Thank you very much. Okay, is there any update in terms of JCT contract?
I spoke to Paul Martin earlier on today, bearing in mind the meeting we're having this evening, and Paul is still trying to get one point clarified with the developer, which he's still waiting for a reply from, but he is hoping that he will get that this week. He said that the developers knows what he's asking, basically. He's just trying to get an answer. And we can only rely on Paul. I mean, Paul is the guy who's doing this. I'm not involved with the JCT contract at all.
I think it would be useful though if we could also ask Paul just to send us, even though that's not finalised, if he can let us have the rest of it for us as the building working group to have a look through, so we can just check that everything's in there that we expect to be in there. I'm sure there won't be an issue, but I think we just need to make sure of that. So if we can ask Paul to let us have that as soon as possible, irrespective of the odd item, I think that would be helpful. Anything else on JCT at the moment? No, in which case, the lease.
Well, Charles Fleming did actually contact me earlier on this evening, but we couldn't get a decent line, unfortunately. We have got a draft lease now. We've got a lease document which is really an acceptable starting point, certainly. We've still gone back asking for some questions. Bob, I mean, you've been more involved in questioning on that than I have, really.
I mean, so the document we've now seen from Charles is a lease. So it is the lease that would be potentially between us and the shop for them to operate. There were a couple of things in there which we've just asked him to clarify, and as soon as we've got a circulatable lease, we will put it around to members for you to see the detail in there. Basically, he has got in there the details that were discussed as part of the heads of terms and as part of the agreement that was made between us and the shop. So it looks like he's now got that in place. I'm hoping the shop have seen a similar copy from their legal people. Okay, I'm not seeing nods at the end, so we will chase that up as well to make sure that your legal team have but it looks like they're actually putting something together now that does make sense and fits in with what we were asking for as all of us. Andy?
The document, when it's circulated, is that still strictly private and confidential for council members only?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, it must be really.
Yeah.
Think about it. Until we've got a final document, and then after that it can become a public document once it's been agreed by the council.
Okay. Item 4, is any other financials to be considered? Are there?
No, the only one is number 5, of course, which is we need a resolution to approve Paul Martin to be the project manager for the shop project.
Your iPad first.
Is that a yes?
I think she agreed.
Computer says no.
Yeah, Paul Martin is prepared to take on the project management role. And to be totally frank with you, it's £11,000. It's not a cheap project by any means. I mean, he's going to be involved in it for probably 2 or 3 days each week during the build. And we need to have this council's approval for him to take on that role at that cost.
Amanda?
I think when we discussed this before, there was a kind of a discussion where maybe he was going to be approached to see if we could cut that cost a little bit. Or is 2 or 3 days a week absolutely necessary, and is that 4 days, or could he do, it's quite a big bill, isn't it?
I have asked him that question because I know you'd raise it, but he said it's very, very hard to say that he could cut it back. But on the other hand, the build might go better than expected. It might go quicker than expected, in which case he's not spending so much time here or so many weeks here. So he is open to flexibility based on that eventuality.
Yeah.
But I think we've got to sort of set ourselves out and saying, well, actually, it's going to be 11,000 maximum. That's the maximum figure it's going to be. But it might be less. So,
Colin?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's very important that we recognise that we are not construction experts, and we need somebody who really understands and can discuss with the architect if he finds he's got problems or any variations that may need to be considered, to stand our corner for us, for want of a better word. So I think it's important that we hire a professional. It's an important contract, it's a big contract. We've done a great job of work to get where we are now, and it would be silly to spoil it in the way it's managed going forward. So my proposal is that we appoint Paul Martin as our project manager for this particular construction.
Would Paul Martin have carte blanche to decide any or make any decisions on our behalf?
No. So he would have to liaise with, in effect, the building working group and the clerk before he can't instruct without us being consulted.
But we also have to refer back to the parish council.
Exactly. If anything has materially changed.
on any major decisions,
Yes.
yes, it might come back. Parish Council.
John?
Just to throw in, would it be prudent to get another quote from an expert just so we know that that figure is a fair and reasonable figure?
I think the problem.
Colin?
With respect, I don't think so, John, because this guy has actually designed it from the ground up. He knows his specification, he knows his drawings inside out. it would be rather dismissive of someone's capability to hand it, to place this project in the hands of someone that knows nothing at all about it right from day one. We're against the clock now. The clock has started to run, and I just feel that Paul Martin is our man. He's been our man all along the line.
Okay, any other comments or questions? So we've got a proposal from Colin that we appoint Paul Martin as project manager. Malcolm, you're seconding?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour please show. Any against? That's 2 against, that's carried by majority. Okay. Item 8B is the agenda for the annual parish meeting, which again I think members have had a draft circulated. Was going to make a suggestion, if I might, that it's currently showing chairman doing the annual report up first, which is normal. Was going to suggest that we potentially have the Dorset and Somerset Air Ambulance as second, as they're the sort of invited speakers, and it breaks up the reports coming from the chairman and the Somerset council member. And then we haven't got included on there at the moment the flood action, which we talked about doing, so we were looking at putting David in his absence while he's not here. He's going to go in at number 5 after the AMPR and before the parish council build and the shop update, which would be the last 2. So are members happy that we go with that? Okay.
Can I just ask Maria,
Yeah.
can you have a contact with the air ambulance, don't you?
Yeah.
Can you just check with them that they're still okay with it? Because
I'll do that
I didn't have a because we know we had this bit of a problem with communication.
I'll contact them
So I'll
tomorrow
leave it
and
to you,
let
and then
you
you
know.
can talk to them. And
Yeah.
so if
I'll
they come
let you know
along, they
tomorrow.
can be first on the agenda, basically.
Yeah.
Or after
The other thing while we're checking with them is what presentation stuff they need. Do they need a screen? Are they doing like
Yeah, they. I know when they were going to come here, they did want to use the screen.
Okay, so we just need to make sure because we'll have that potentially
We
anyway.
should need a screen.
Yeah, we can sort that.
Okay.
So if they bring something on a stick which they can plug into Owen's computer or
Yeah.
whether...
Right, okay, yeah. I will contact them tomorrow and let you know.
Excellent. Anything else on annual parish? What's just the important bit of the evening? Who's down for refreshments?
That's would be Jane and myself, obviously without Jane. So that's me. Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
see.
good, thank
Do you
you.
want me
That's
to lend you a
lovely.
dress, Andy?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Do you want me to lend you a dress?
You just need to penny. Yeah.
It can get cold in the kitchen.
Careful what you
so-
wish for there.
I'll bring a jumper.
Okay, but we'll see if there's one or two
Yeah.
others who can help.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
We'll sort it out.
but at least if you're responsible for the actual...
I'll do it, yeah, because I'll get
Tea,
some
milk and
biscuits and
stuff.
tea and all that schmozzle.
Yes, thank you for that. Okay, any update on the AMPR data and operational matters?
No, apart from being inundated, we request from other parish councils for information. That has been absolutely, incredible.
Colin?
That's funny actually, because I made a note wondering whether we should consider that. But the first thing to do is, what are we going to do with the data that we get? Because nothing's happened. We've received data, photographs of cars, etc., going over the, I think it's 60 or 70, but nothing's happened. My suggestion is that we give this information in confidence to the local speak group, who will then take it to the appropriate people. Or if not, then we've got to have a process of doing it, and there ain't no process.
No, there isn't. You're right.
Because, nobody's taken it on.
But we can't, under the terms of our surveillance, we cannot share that data with anybody other than the police.
But we have got the police representative who was here and set this all up with us. We need to in effect get back to him and say, come on, what's the process? We've got this data for you, how do we send it to you?
I spoke to a couple of clerks this afternoon. In fact, with Jim Murray at East Brent I spoke to this afternoon. Apparently he's been told from Trevor Simpson they're not accepting any data at the moment. they've been absolutely awash with data coming in from
Well,
parishes
that's
down
it, one of the
coast.
floodgates for everyone to drive at unis then.
So the data is not being accepted by them
Yeah,
at the moment.
but I think we've just got to tell them they've got to protect. I mean, they set this thing up with us. They can't suddenly turn around and say we're not taking the information. And it can't be coming from any of the other parishes because we're the only parish that's got this thing in the whole of Somerset.
Yeah, but we're not the only, apparently we're not the only parish. There's parishes all over the southwest have got them.
Yeah, but
Wiltshire, Dorset have got them.
but we're only dealing with Avon and Somerset Police.
We are, but they're obviously all linking up. I don't know, to be honest with you. I just don't know. I'm happy to send the data any way you want me to
I
send
mean,
it.
if you're happy, if Owen can give me the contact of the police, I'll get in touch and run some cages.
Yeah, I mean,
Because there's no point getting us to do this and then
No.
saying they won't
no.
take the data.
I mean, if you want to, sorry, Malcolm, sorry, Eddie, go on.
Oh, it don't matter now.
It's all right. Yeah, we will get there.
Not 10 minutes.
Well, you needed the exercise aid, so bear with us.
I saw an official looking vehicle with people in high-vis looking like installing an ANPR on Stodden Road.
Right.
No, they weren't installing their temporary scanners, that's what they are. They got stopped the other day, so.
Speeding.
Aid, is there anything else you want to
Yeah.
confess?
Before we got this camera,
Yeah.
I thought it was agreed that the data that we get from it is passed on to the police and whatnot, and they deal with all that.
Correct.
So what is happening with it then?
Exactly. That's the
So
issue.
but I thought this was all processed and ready to go before the camera was even bought.
We were certainly told by the police that we were the message that we were
Yeah.
given was that we were acting as the pilot in Avon Somerset police
Right.
area,
Yeah.
that they were setting it up for us to collect the data and forward it on to them for them to then act as this virtual speed watch. So we will have a conversation with the police if they're now saying they're not taking the data. I think we need to have a discussion with them. But as I said, I'm happy to do that. And if necessary, we can have a word with the Police and Crime Commissioner as well, because they're all up for our parishes working with the police.
Actually, the person that information came from was in fact Aileen Fletcher.
Yeah, well, Aileen's not to be I mean, Aileen is a good officer, but Aileen is not part of this whole thing with the ANPR camera. She deals with, I know, she deals with the issues at Somerset Council. She wasn't involved in the whole discussion we had with the police. So this is a matter for us to liaise, I think, direct with them. But I'm happy to have that.
I'll send the data to Trevor Simpson. And
Yeah.
he can do with
So
that.
we spent a lot of money on a millions
No.
mechanical thing then.
Well, that's what we want to make sure we don't have that as the situation. So
Right.
we will get to the bottom of
It
it.
certainly creates a lot of interest on
It
Burnham.com. It certainly really
Yeah, they just speed up now.
It's just the DPD vans that are the worst.
Okay.
DPD.
Flood considerations. The situation with that is obviously David is leading on the flood action. There is a meeting coming up with the drainage board. They have now said they will come out and meet us. So there will be a date which I will be checking with David for that to take place, and as soon as we've got that information we'll report back to the parish, but I can't give you anything more without David being here at the moment. G is the co-option process, which we obviously set the policy, or we reconfirmed the policy earlier. So if members are happy,
Sorry, can I just go back a bit?
Yes, sorry.
We were going to, at this meeting, do something about the purchase of the signs on the thingy. Tools.
The rates.
That's it, yeah.
Right. Okay. I mean, in terms of the signs, we have resolved to buy the signs previously, haven't we?
I think
the
so.
flood and
I
the
have
arrow
it on
sign.
list somewhere, I think that we were going to.
Because I know I have had a. And I don't
This is what David wanted to get originally, was some high-vis jackets, these signs, ditching forks, a head torch and a drain lid lifter.
Is that for his business?
So it is writing.
Okay, okay, that's not a list I must admit I've scenes yet, but I haven't had that meeting with David. I know in terms of the signs, we had authorised David to buy the signs and let Owen have the invoice. The rest of it, I think we will need to get approval from council that we do that, and it would be very helpful if we had a quote.
We've got the prices here.
Okay,
This is what David looked at, these prices. He
okay.
wrote it on this piece of paper.
Can you let Owen have that so we've got a record of it, and then
You can just keep it.
we will need to get council approval in terms of proceeding on that, and it's not on tonight's agenda. So we will be having, what I will do is we will take that forward and put it on the agenda for the next meeting. And in the meantime, if we can get some comparative prices as well, then we can come back to the meeting with a definite way forward. Colin?
Moving on, change the subject. If they're going to start demolishing the toilet block in May, we will need to ensure that the storeroom at the rear is clear.
Yeah, we're going to put it in Bob's garage. He's made some space in it.
Thank you.
Is that right?
We will need to make sure there's somewhere for it to be stored.
Okay, as long as...
But yes, it is something you're absolutely right. It's a job that has to be done. Okay.
Sorry, Bob.
That's all right. Thanks for that. So moving on to the co-option process. As I say, we agreed the process earlier in the policy. So in effect, what will happen is Owen, you'll need
I've got to notify first of all, notify
Yes.
Somerset Council
Yeah.
that we have a vacancy effectively, which I have now done. There's a new lady there called, I can't remember her name now, but I wrote it.
Right.
She's the Democratic Services person that Louise used to be
Yes.
at one time. So I've written to her explaining that we have a vacancy. She will then come back to us then with the process that we need to adopt, i.e. putting up notices and so forth. And if nobody comes forward, then we can go forward to the normal 28-day co-option notice. So it's a bit of a process actually, and I can't imagine that we're probably going to get any result from this till probably July time actually, the way things are going. So yeah, it's in hand, if the council wish it to be in hand.
Okay. So are you happy then that we basically follow the policy procedure that we've set down? So if we hear back from the council that no election has been called, then we can move into the co-option process, which will mean publicising through the website, the notice boards and the BKN, so that it's as open to as many parishioners as wish to put their name forward, and then see where we go from there.
I should say I've had 2 or 3 people already who've indicated an interest, and I've simply said to them, just wait until the process starts, and once the process starts, you can sort of submit your interest.
Okay. Any other comments or questions on that one? If not, that brings us to the end of the agenda items. So matters of report, I have none. Colin?
No.
No. AD?
Yeah, obviously you don't see me around for Wednesdays because obviously I can't do Wednesdays. This is the first time because I've got training tonight to come here. My training's more important to me from a health wise and stuff like that. So I suggested, putting a note to Owen and the council a few weeks back saying, can we move it to another day, if possible, another night, instead of a Wednesday, for me to carry on?
No, not really, other than to say, obviously it needs to be a decision by the council, obviously. What we do on that.
We did do a sort of an initial, just a quick look at availability of premises and stuff, and that is fairly limited at the moment because obviously other events take place in the hall, which was why we ended up with the day we did. But ultimately, it'll be a matter for members to decide. We can certainly find out what dates might be available, and that has to be an agenda item for the next meeting. Members happy that we do
It's
do
about
that?
4 weeks' time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. John?
No.
Melina?
No.
Andy? Amanda?
Refreshments.
Oh, yes.
refreshments for here.
Okay,
For the meeting.
understood, we'll do that. Owen?
No.
Okay, thank you all very much for your attendance this evening. That's the end of the agenda, so our next meeting is 1st of May. But in the meantime, don't forget the annual parish meeting on the 17th of April. And it's
7 o'clock, unless we have a planning application, which we might have, in which case we need to meet at 6:30 to deal with that.
Thank you all very much, and the meeting is closed. Thank you.
Oh, just a quick